Welcome to another episode of the Sassy Debate Challenge. This is brought to you by Say What, supported by Seal, Sawira, Events and Lifestyle, courtesy of the Nyarazo Group. And I am your debate master, Master Jumbe. I'll be ensuring smooth coordination of the debate and ensuring that everyone over here is having a good time while still maintaining a standard of excellence and competition. I also have the honor and pleasure of being joined by some of the brightest individuals in the nation. They've come from all over the country to prove who they really are and why they're champions. So I'll now take this time to kindly ask them to introduce themselves and the institutions that they are representing, starting with podium number one.
Yashalinko Tichawangana and Nestle Makado. We are from Zimbabwe ZEGU University.
That's amazing. You've heard great things. Hopefully you can deliver.
We are going to.
That's brilliant. And podium two.
Natasha Taylor Manega, and my partner is Alfred Tafato Bandera. We are from Women's University in Africa.
Wow, I can't wait to see what you guys give us today. Thank you for joining us today. And you on podium three?
My name is Chaperone Zenja. With my partner Lukaja Maseko. We are representing Zimbabwe Open University.
I see. Thank you. Can't wait to see what happens. And we save the best for last. One more, we go to podium number four.
Yeah, my name is Chakuza Alfred Chingwaru, representing Marandra University of Agricultural Sciences. Beside me is Molite Banda, representing Marandra University as well.
Lovely, lovely. Well, now that we are all well acquainted with each other and we know where we're from and who we are, I think it's time to get into the true meat. I think it's time for us to understand that there's a lot on our plates today, so let me understand what is going on with today's meal. So, when it comes to today's debate, I would do an injustice if I were to fail to tell you of the parameters that we'll be operating in today. So, I hope the teams understand that they've been allocated just 4 minutes of speaking time within this British parliamentary style debate, that we have two teams, one that will be proposing, one that will be opposing. There will be multiple players within this game. However, only one shall arise as a true victorious champion. Understand that when it comes to your POIs, also known as your points of information, you only have 15 seconds of delivery, and ensure that you stay within the allocated time. We're not here to waste time, we're here to win. Isn't that right? Lovely. So, without any further ado, let's get into the motion of the day. The motion of the day reads as follows. This House believes that the institutionalization of care-based policies, e.g. psychosocial support for pregnant learners, risks reinforcing gendered expectations of vulnerability rather than dismantling them. I will repeat. This House believes that the institutionalization of care-based policies, e.g. psychosocial support for pregnant learners, risks reinforcing gendered expectations of vulnerability rather than dismantling them. We've seen the motion. The debaters are prepared. I think there's only one thing left. We've heard that there's a lot on our plate. We have quite the meal. I think that now it's time for us to seal the deal. And now, we shall begin today's debate. May the respectable Honourable Prime Minister please come forward and make their case known.
Institutionalization of care-based policies, e.g. psychosocial support for pregnant learners, risk enforcing gendered expectations of vulnerability rather than dismantling them. I would not have done justice to the person, to the motion, if I don't unpack it. The institutionalization is more of internalizing the policies in a way that these people that are considered vulnerable or pregnant learners, be it people living with disabilities, are to have a friendly environment for themselves. This motion submits that there is a danger of having a retrogressive action if we are to have special policies for these people, especially pregnant learners. I'll have this point. Care-based policies may unknowingly perpetuate stereotypes about women's roles and vulnerabilities rather than challenging these assumptions. Over the years, we've been fighting so that women are treated fairly, especially those children that get pregnant during the course of their education. So, by saying that we are institutionalizing them, we are having a separate policy that deals with them. It makes them look vulnerable, look unguarded, look unprotected, rather than being resilient and able to push forward with their condition. By having a care-based policy, it is making them feel like they are not enough. Their situation is a bad situation. It's a situation that they will not succeed later in life. So, I would submit a statement that is usually said by the elderly. Do not be tempted to shrink your vision to fit into your current challenges. So by having care-based policies, you are shrinking these pregnant learners, these vulnerable women, to fit into their current challenges. We are only giving them a temporary protection rather than a long-term thing. We want to empower these young women, these pregnant women, young children, to be able to face life after school, life after being a pregnant woman. I would also want to point that focusing solely on support for pregnant learners removes attention from other vulnerable groups of vulnerable people, be it male students that have other problems that they face, LGBTQ+, although in Zimbabwe it's not an issue to be discussed, and other members of the vulnerable community, the unguarded, the unprotected. So my partner will take you through the next point.
Thank you very much, Honourable Prime Minister. We will now take this time to hear from the opposition party. May you please take centre stage, Honourable Speaker.
I oppose the motion that the institutionalization of care-based policies risk reinforcing gendered expectations of vulnerability rather than dismantling them. One thing we need to understand is that for many decades, the girl child has suffered, the girl child has been suppressed. And we also need to understand the reason why the girl child is in the situation where she is, where she needs care-based policies, is because of the patriarch system. I believe that care-based policies, they are necessary because when a girl, for example, is pregnant, she is vulnerable. She needs to be cared for. She also deserves to go to school so that she can continue with the education, so that she can realize the full potential. I want to correct what the Prime Minister was saying. The Prime Minister was saying that focusing on these girls or gender expectations on women or on girls, it means that they will neglect other groups. We need to understand this. For many decades, girls have always been seen as inferior. They've always been seen as people who don't deserve to be taken care of. So I feel this is the time for us to be there for the girl child. How can we be there for the girl child? Let's give them the care-based policies and protect them. And also, while we are doing that, we also need to instill self-awareness in them through education, right? And I also think that the quickest way to deal, I understand what the Prime Minister was saying. He was saying that it blocks or hinders progress in terms of focusing on other vulnerable groups. But what I'm saying is that when a girl child is taken care of, it means a community is taken care of. And when a community is taken care of, it means the whole country or the world at large is taken care of. So I am saying that going forward, what we need to do, let's forward with care-based policies. They are necessary. We are protecting the girl child because even though in as much as other groups they are important, but we need to find out what history has been telling us about. History has shown us that the girl child, in terms of their health, they've been behind. So we cannot neglect them now just because of their other groups. So it's important that we focus on these policies, on these care-based policies, so that we can be there for the girl child. Right, once again, I will say this again. For us to move forward, let us deal with the patriarch system that is causing the young ladies to be seen as sexual objects. That has caused young girls to be seen, to be used to the extent that they end up being pregnant and being vulnerable. I believe that women, they deserve to be taken care of through the policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I will now call upon the Deputy Prime Minister to come forward. Please provide your case.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be proceeding from where my fellow colleague left from. I'm going to be reiterating on how the institutionalization of care-based policies risks or endangers reinforcing gender expectations of vulnerability, which can be helplessness rather than dismantling them. What I can say about this motion is that reinforcement of stereotypes creates room for us to divide these pregnant women from other people. What am I saying? We are seeing them as the handicapped, not the people who are able to walk or work on themselves. Like my fellow colleague from the opposing side just said, I would like to clear a point. Eradicating the aspect of patriarchy system can be done by giving them that room to experience the moment and showcase their talents than clipping off their wings, as they are saying that pregnant women are to be given that extreme care other than being given room to showcase what they have in their bags. Ladies and gentlemen, I take you to a point where we choose to scale above the obstacle and challenge your limits. Pregnancy does not mean that one cannot stand on themselves and work to something for themselves. What we need to know is we should take care not to make the intellect our God, for it has, of course, muscles, but no personality. We cannot create that room for them to grow and eradicate that patriarchal system when we are saying they should be at home resting when they are pregnant. Yes, some pregnant women need that aspect of being left home to rest when they are at the point of having that risky pregnancy that are termed by doctors. Once again, I would like to take you back to the point of barrier to equality. Remember, the UDHR once stated that we need to eliminate the aspect of discrimination among us, the people. And we are moving towards a world where we are all equal and work as one. So to eradicate acts of women being marginalized in society, we need to also move where we walk the talk, not just talk the talk. In each situation, each and every one of us has their own lion to face. But what can we say? We should let spades be spades and not cousins of spoons. Such policies could inadvertently suggest that women should be cared for rather than empowered, whilst we are trying to eradicate the primogeniture society. Care-based policies may imply that pregnant learners may need that special treatment due to their vulnerability, which can perpetuate gender stereotypes, providing extra support for pregnant students, which might suggest they are less capable rather than recognizing their resilience. Resilience is a character that each and every one of us needs to carry. And today, we all need to work on our feet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I will now allot this time to the Deputy Leader of the Opposition. May they please come forward.
Morning. I would strongly oppose this opening government, because how can we listen to a government that cannot even pronounce their case? The institution, we are dealing with people. We are not dealing with assumptions. And you're very selfish, by the way. We are not saying we are excluding these other vulnerable groups. We are simply including everyone at this particular point. As my partner said, history has led us to see that women have been vulnerable. And with this act, we can literally say, we are including women. Why am I saying so? We live in a patriarchal world. You do agree, right? So, by producing care policies, we are simply involving women in the policies that are already existing. We are not dividing, we are not bridging, rather we are including, resulting in empowerment of women, not creating a big gap in marginalizing these other groups. Thank you. It is not endangering them, by the way. We are saying if we give care policies to pregnant women in schools, for example, we are offering, we're giving them security, we're giving them peace of mind, we are giving them a safe space at school, you know, because it's difficult to be pregnant and to be at school. You will face stigmatization, you will face isolation, and it will create mental instability in you, and then you end up being depressed, you have anxiety. Hence, these care policies are there to dismantle all of that. They're there, if I'm pregnant and at school, they're there for me, they're there to support me, they're there to tell me that it's okay to be pregnant, and it's actually fine, because these care, rejected, because these care policies are the same things that are empowering me, that yes, I'm pregnant, with or without being happy about it, but yes, I can learn and I can also empower myself through this. And it also acts as amplifying voices, actually, because I can participate in activities at school whilst I'm pregnant, or I can participate, I can showcase in anything. I can also be a leader. I can also be a leader whilst pregnant, you know, because I can also be a motivational speaker and tell people my story and tell them my journey, inspire people. It actually makes me heard. It makes me actually feel not like stigmatized or isolated, but it makes me feel human, you know. We offer empowerment to women, which gives them autonomy to make their own decisions, right? And to correct you, when we say we are dividing people and creating stigma, we're not, because have you noticed that each and everyone who is involved with the pregnancy, the women, the father, the family, the community members, the students, everyone is given counseling and empowerment and awareness. So everyone is included, and this helps so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. As you can see, things are getting quite heated over here in the debate. Every single statement that they're making is speaking to a true diverse policy that they want to change and initiate within society. And that's what we advocate for right at the SARSI Debate Challenge. Diverse and collaborative conversations to ensure a better future. If you're enjoying this, stay tuned. So we'll see you right after the break. And we are back. Welcome back to the 8th edition of the SARSI Say What Debate Challenge. We are over here with some of the brightest minds in the nation discussing the issues that affect you the most. So, the policies are changing, the mindsets are changing. And to once again reiterate, the policy and the motion speaks as so. This House believes that the institutionalization of care-based policies, e.g. psychosocial support for pregnant learners, risks reinforcing gendered expectations of vulnerability rather than dismantling them. And now we will hear from a member of government to provide their stance and perspective on the issue. Member of government, please may you come forward.
We as the members of government are in support of the motion that passes that the institutionalization of care-based policies, e.g. psychosocial support for pregnancy learners, risk reinforcing gendered expectations of vulnerability rather than dismantling them. Before I go on to my points as to why we as the members of government support this motion, I shall first do my rebuttals as to what has been said by the opposition. Firstly, I've been hearing a lot about community and including everyone else in what the opposition has been saying, but there hasn't been any points as to how you will do this. You have just been talking about how women will be included in this. Therefore, my question to you is that, how do you define community? Is a community women only? Or is a community including every person and every aspect of a person in society? That is what I have to say to that. As to the motion itself, we are in support of this institutionalization. We are in support of this motion because, first of all, because we're in support of this, reinforcing the vulnerable women narrative happens if we do have these policies in our system, as women will be seen as this will be seen as a quick fix to fix women's problems, rather than giving them the mentor and the support that they actually need to fix their own problems and to be able to be self-reliant in society. This policies also ignore male responsibility in our society. We have a case where a female is impregnated by a boy. The female will then be told to be secluded from school, but the male will be going to school. What does the opposition have to say about this? Then again, it perpetuates stigma, these policies. If a student is pregnant, they are passed on to another group and they are not able to be part of the classroom. Doesn't this risk stigma itself? Anyway, as the opposition, as the members of parliament, our extension to this we are in support of a holistic approach we are in support of implementing a holistic approach to care-based policies where we include boys themselves and teach them of SRH, and also include them to teach them of their responsibilities of societies and how their actions also imply on the females themselves. And also we look at the girls themselves and help them to be able to sustain themselves, help them to be able to be problem solvers in finding businesses they can be in finding careers they can approach and be successful in society, instead of just bringing them a quick fix onto how to deal with their problems, then leaving them to the wind after their pregnancies. Also, we support the motion in looking at the community itself, creating policies that help the society understand what gender is and how the implementations of stereotypes and all that is associated with gender inequality itself, such as that the girls should be more focused on being caregivers rather than focusing on their own achievements and being better members of society and improving the society itself. Thank you.
Once again, Honourable Member of Government. We will now take this time to hear from a member of the opposition. May the opposition team member please come forward.
We are opposing the motion. The first question I'm going to be asking is that, where does stigma come from? It comes from the community, ladies and gentlemen. How are we going to be doing what we were emphasizing on as the opposition? And you were saying that we are actually ignoring other intersectionalities like the male gender, ladies and gentlemen. By doing this, we're not ignoring them at all. As you gave an example of a person who's getting impregnated, ladies and gentlemen, by a young boy, ladies and gentlemen. We hereby say that this young boy is incapacitated. So visually, he cannot sustain that family. But then by mere virtue of this being the reality of the matter, the pregnant woman is now also facing a level of stress, discomfort, and some level of mental torture. So by having a psychosocial support infrastructure, we therefore mean that we are now going to combat such problems, ladies and gentlemen. How do we empower these pregnant women? I'm going to be asking this question to the government, one way or the other. If you are saying that the institutionalization of care-based policies are reinforcing gendered expectation rather than dismantling them, then the question I'm going to be asking is, how do we empower these pregnant women, ladies and gentlemen? Institutionalization is a matter of realizing progress rather than anything else. We are trying to realize progress, whereby we're saying, if a lady is in an institution, she's learning, she's doing whatever she's doing, we are now saying that that particular lady in that institution, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be supported morally, emotionally, and mentally, thereby combating whatever it may be that may be resulting in the problem, either be it depression or whatever, ladies and gentlemen. It is not about capability, it's about the mind before anything else. Ladies and gentlemen, for a person to do the right thing, they have to have the right mindset. Whether they're capable of it or not, the mindset gathers that, ladies and gentlemen. I proceed to say, a holistic approach, as the government stated, might be the way to do things. Research shows that social and psychological support improve academic outcomes and mental health in an educational institution, ladies and gentlemen. Whether we say if these ladies are going to be going to school and they are going to be offered this psychosocial support, that means that they are going to substantiate whatever they are learning in a healthy mind space, ladies and gentlemen. And this therefore reiterates what my leader of opposition said. He said that the people have suffered patriarchy, and by patriarchy we mean that we do have irresponsible men in society. So what do we do about irresponsible men? We try and make them understand where we are coming from and where we are going by institutionalization of the care-based policies, whereby we're saying that it's not only going to help the women, ladies and gentlemen, it's also going to incorporate everyone else in this particular thing. Because if we have an institution or a psychosocial support platform, it's not only going to help you, because how many times have you said that people are going to be given food, but it's only for those who participated, then you just end up getting food, ladies and gentlemen. This is a practical example to show you that none other than not only women are only going to benefit from this, but also males are also going to benefit from this. So patriarchy as the point, it stands in this debate, ladies and gentlemen, also saying that by mere virtue of the leader of opposition coming here to say that patriarchy, ladies and gentlemen, is the matter of the mind. As I illustrated earlier, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about capability, but it's about the mind before anything else. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case, giving this question to the opposition. Those with low self-esteem, or the women with low self-esteem, how are they then rehabilitated? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. You said a very powerful point when it came to going for participation in competitions and not being given food. Is that a trauma story?
Well, I just ended up, I actually got a fair portion of food, so I wouldn't complain, because what actually happened was,
Well, just you hold on to that thought. We have a lot of food for you. I think the government whip has some food for your horse today. Sir, government whip me, please come forward.
Debate was more on stereotypes versus vulnerability, where the government side comes and tells about the internalization of the policy because it leads into stereotypes, right? And also the opposition comes to the podium and tells us that women are vulnerable and we should leave them in the spaces of being vulnerable. We should not support them so that they can stand for themselves, right? The opposition comes and tells us that girls
they tell us that girls, the girl child is more vulnerable and the girl child is weak, right? So this is their perspective as an opposition, and this is why they are out of this debate. So moving on to the closing opposition, to the closing government, as we come in here in this debate, we come to this debate with an extension and a clear-cut extension on focusing on a more holistic approach, rebutting the last speaker who came here and actually supported our points instead of coming with their case. They come and talk about things that the closing government, the member of government, address instead of telling us what exactly do they bring to this debate. And with that, I'm going to unpack more on why we deserve to win as the government side, particularly the closing government, right? We come here and tell you that we're not going to reinforce the vulnerable women narrative, because that is wrong, panel. We think that the care-based of policies targeting specific groups like pregnant learners can inadvertently reinforce societal narrative that women are inherently vulnerable and they need protection, rather than challenging the root cause of their vulnerability. This is what we look at as the government side, right? And also, we want to look at the male responsibility in this, right? We say that these also focus solely on the care-based facilities for pregnant learners can overlook the responsibility of male partners. We also come with stigmatization, whereby we say that the institutionalization of care-based policies for specific groups can inadvertently perpetuate stigma and discrimination against those groups, further reinforcing the perceived vulnerability. So, as the closing government, there is a question that was raised by the member of opposition, where they say that the question was, how do we empower these pregnant women, right? Here is how we take them.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I said those with low self-esteem, how are they rehabilitated?
Right. Focusing on care-based policies can divert attention and resources away. So, from addressing these systematic issues, we think that we can contribute, these systematic issues that contribute to vulnerability, we think that we can keep this. We need to address these systematic issues that include poverty, that include inequality and discrimination, before we focus on what you're talking about. So as we close this debate, we think that providing psychological support to pregnant learners may seem as a quick fix, while neglecting underlying issues that contribute to teenage pregnancies, such as lack of access to education, economic opportunities, and SRH services. So, as the closing government, we think that our points stand in this debate. Why? Because we came in this debate with an extension that focuses on a holistic approach, number one. Number two, we talk about, we do not want to reinforce the vulnerable women narrative, because that narrative is actually wrong in actual instance.
Thank you very much to all the respectable honorable speakers that have participated in today's debate. There was a lot of talk today around extensions. Hopefully everyone in the audience is thinking about the right extensions. We're talking about real policies over here. We're talking about real change making in our societies. So within the meantime, we'll now give this time to our judges to have a little bit of deliberation. There were so many powerful performances, but at the end of the day, we need to rank the true victor. So let us remain focused and understand how we are leading in both equity and in change. So, stay tuned. We'll catch you right after the break. Welcome back. You are here at the best place you could ever be in the entire world, the Sassy Debate Challenge. This is the 8th edition, hosted to you and brought to you by Say What and supported by SEAL, Sawira Events and Lifestyle Services. So, How is everyone feeling today? Podium number 1, how are you feeling?
Quite motivated.
Really? And podium number 4, how are you today?
I would like to emphasize on the fact that you skip.
She's scared? I skipped her.
Yes,
Closing opposition,
I
right?
haven't had the chance to speak yet. I was supposed to be the last speaker.
Oh, maybe
Yes.
it's not forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, I had been forgotten, but I'm here to reiterate our case and tell you why the opposition side has won. The opening government made contrary assertions. They stated that pregnant learners should be resilient, but how do you build resilience in pregnant learners? Simple. The question is you equip them with psychosocial support. The government is rather making counterproductive assertions because we have seen that in many countries, including Zimbabwe's 2019 policy on that pregnant learners should return back to school. We have already stated that these learners should return to school. But how do we offer resilience? We do so by counseling. Counseling seems as the only feasible way to build resilience, to empower women. Ladies and gentlemen, they say that so that women should be able to push with their conditions. Why are we pathologizing pregnancy? If a pregnant learner goes back to school, what is the government saying? Abracadabra, you're now empowered. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the kids in rural areas. Tonight, you had your chance. Let's look at the people in rural areas. We're saying institutionalization is going to provide psychosocial support closer to them. We're saying we have counselors in school, ladies and gentlemen. The opening government failed to actually dream that out. Learners in rural areas have to travel long distances to access counseling. But we're saying we're bringing the counseling back to you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me move on. Our opposition side has fairly won the debate tonight because there is clearly stated that women are suffering. Women are inherently vulnerable. They are prone to patriarchal norms. So what are we suggesting? We are providing a feasible solution, ladies and gentlemen. Let's provide counseling. Let's institutionalize these psychosocial support services. As my member of opposition say that improves academic performance. If you resonate positivity, ladies and gentlemen, it reverberates back to you. If you tell a pregnant learner that despite what has happened, you can still go out there, you can still make a difference, it's going to reduce the 55% of school dropouts that are resulting due to the lack of institutionalization of care-based practice, ladies and gentlemen. My opposition further went on to tell you that women need to realize their full potential. How do they do that? They do so by being empowered, and the only feasible means of empowerment right now is to provide them with counseling. This not only benefits the woman, but the society at whole, as my opposition has already stated that an empowered woman is an empowered society. Now, the closing government did not actually answer the question. People with low self-esteem, people are vulnerable. How are you going to rehabilitate them? You did not answer that. You shied away from the question and rather provided substantiation on what you have already said, and that was clearly running away from the issue that we had at hand. How are you going to actually empower those people that we're talking about? And in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the rationale behind this motion is to empower women. The assumption is that we are going to reduce school dropouts. Why? Because the school environment is welcoming. The school environment is friendly. It's telling you that despite whatever has happened, you can still come here, you can still make a difference, you can still perform. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly oppose.
I look up in the sky, God is my angel. I look up in the sky, God gonna save me. I've got a vision, so I gotta work on it. Nobody bring me down, so I gotta go, gotta go.
I got a dream. When you know you have a dream,
work, work, work.
I got a dream. When you know you have a dream.